Hi guys, welcome to Brandix Reviews and another edition of BXR Mailbag. Now on this one I'm going to be answering a question about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and also the X-Men Cinematic Universe as well, if that's what it's called. Now, this is something that gets a lot of people confused because in the light of the release of the recent film Avengers Age of Ultron, we've seen this character Quicksilver, and there was a very similar character to him in the X-Men Days of Future Past film that came out last year. I say very similar, kind of with a bit of sarcasm there. It is the same character, but it's not the same character. I'm going to explain that. Now this kind of been prompted by a mailbag question that's coming at the website. Again, Paul Cage, one of the great contributors at Brandix Reviews, sent this in. So let's just ask his question then, and let's just really get into it there. This may be a stupid and simple question. Apart from Sony openly lending Spider-Man to Marvel Studios, how does it work with Quicksilver? He cannot be called a mutant, but I assume they share the same character name. He's never referred to as Quicksilver in Avengers 2. Does that mean that we could have a guy who has metal claws that pop out called the Wolverine? You mean Wolverine by any chance? Is he not called a mutant? So yeah, very good question, and I can totally see where you're coming from, but my answer to the end of your question would be no. I don't think we're going to see a Wolverine character cropping up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel Cinematic Universe being the Avengers tie-in films. The X-Men universe, a lot of people don't even get this, is a different universe. Yes, it's Marvel, it has the Marvel Studios logo on it and all that stuff. Well, not the Marvel Studios, just Marvel Comics logo and everything on it, but it's not the same universe. These characters don't overlap, the stories don't overlap. But we did have a resemblance of an overlap in like I say, Avengers Age of Ultron and Days of Future Past with a Quicksilver character. Now, the reason for this, let's get into the backstory of this. Now, I think it was issue 4, I could be wrong, or issue 3, the original X-Men comics anyway, the original ones, where the lineup was pretty much these guys. That's how they looked originally, in these blue and yellow suits. Some of them didn't even resemble what they later... I mean, you know the Beast character in the X-Men, that big blue guy? That's what he looked like originally. He was just like a massive guy with massive arms and legs and feet. Well, in issue 3 anyway, point being, in issue 3 of this... Was it issue 4? I think it was issue 4, to be honest. We saw the introduction of the characters Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, which is these two here. Pietro Maximoff and Wanda Maximoff, later to be revealed to be the twins, the children of Magneto, which is where they get some of their powers from. It wasn't apparent in these early issues. That was something that they wrote in later, but they were introduced in this as kind of bad guys. They were on the side of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but they came around, teamed up with the Avengers, and for all identification purposes, recognised as Avengers characters, quite big Avengers characters, very mainstream. Particularly the Scarlet Witch, because she had relationships with the Vision, for example, in the comics. Now, before I get into this too much, I do need to warn you, there's going to be spoilers in this. I'm going to be talking about stuff that happened in Avengers Age of Ultron. So you haven't seen that film yet, you don't want it spoiling. I'm going to be talking about something quite big in that film, so don't watch the rest of this video. But anyway, point is, so they were introduced as that, as in the X-Men characters originally. So, as far as 20th Century Fox goes, that owns the X-Men cinematic license to make those movies, those characters are X-Men characters originally. But Marvel Studios could have a good case here because they are also Avengers characters, quite big Avengers characters. So there could be a dispute. I'm not saying which one would have the upper hand in a court case, but there could be a very good dispute here. So what they did was they came to an agreement. They said the X-Men universe, when they made Days of Future Past, they have a Quicksilver character, this guy here. You'll remember him, he's very fast, very similar to the Quicksilver character that you saw in Avengers Age of Ultron, if you've seen it, or if you've seen the trailers. And they made their film first, a year before, and that was 2014. They introduced his character in it as, well, not as Quicksilver as such, but that was what he was that character. And They did a deal with Marvel Studios to say, well, we're going to do ours, you can have a Quicksilver character as well, and we won't sue you. And they presumably said the same back, in kind of reverse. So both film studios, both movie worlds, universes have this character in. And the reason for it is because of that, because they did overlap. They both could sort of claim the rights to each other. So either you don't go with a character, or you be grown-ups about it and say, well, you can have yours, we'll have ours. Now, I don't know if part of the deal with Marvel was, because Marvel films, they seem to be a lot better, they seem to be a lot more successful, they have a great future ahead of them. The X-Men cinematic universe seems like it's kind of running out of stuff, running out of ideas. They've got a lot of stuff coming, don't get me wrong, and I think they're going to branch out. But the actual X-Men as such, I think is kind of coming to an end in the next few years for a number of reasons, which I won't go into too much right now. So I think that maybe the 20th Century Fox wanted to have a bit more of a hold on the Quicksilver character. Granted, they were going to let Marvel use Quicksilver, but I think that they will say, well, you do yours, but you can only use him in one film, perhaps. And this is where the spoiler comes in. Because if you haven't seen Age of Ultron, big spoiler, Quicksilver gets killed off in that. So Marvel Cinematic Universe only got to use Quicksilver for one film. So I suspect that was part of the deal. So, I mean, in my opinion, the Quicksilver in Days of Future Past had a better performance. Not the actor as such, I'm not saying he was a better actor, I'm just saying the Quicksilver as he was presented in the film, he was more fun, he was more entertaining in the X-Men films, in my opinion. And I suspect most people would probably agree with that as well. So, that's pretty much what I think about how it works with those characters, why they did that. Now, Quicksilver, I think, as far as the studios go, was a more expendable character. They would just kill him off. It wouldn't really hurt the franchise. Your question kind of at the end of that was saying, well, because they did it with Quicksilver, do you think that we could possibly see a Wolverine character crop up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And I know what you're saying. You're not saying Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, you're saying a different one with a different actor. I very much doubt it. At least not for a lot of years, because Wolverine is pretty much the breadwinner for the X-Men movie universe. Now, I do know that Hugh Jackman has expressed that he's going to be stepping down as Wolverine. We're going to see him in X-Men Apocalypse next year, 2016. 2017, we're going to see him in his own standalone film, which will be his third standalone film. It's kind of been dubbed as Wolverine 3. A direct sequel to the Wolverine film, I guess. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see what he does with his career and his playing Wolverine in those films. But I don't know if he's saying that as a contract negotiation thing, to be honest, because it's Wolverine, it's Hugh Jackman, he's a big actor, you know what I mean? He's huge. And I don't think that... I mean, he's been in the franchise for a long time. Don't get me wrong. He's been in it since the year 2000. Such a legendary superhero actor. I mean, we once upon a time thought Christopher Reeve doing 4 appearances as Superman was big. You know, I mean, usually they don't do more than 2 before they step down. He did 4. Well, Hugh Jackman's done like countless films. Well, not countless, literally, but you know, I can't count off the top of my head how many he's done and that he's gonna do by the time he's done. So he's been in all of them so far in some capacity. So I don't think that 20th Century Fox are really going to want to say, well, okay, Marvel, you can do your own Wolverine. Because Hugh Jackman stepping out, will they want to recast? I don't know. Again, he might just be Hugh Jackman trying to do a contract negotiation thing, saying, yep, that's it, I'm stepping down, you know. I'm not doing any more unless they're going to pay me like a ton of money. You're not going to pay me a ton of money, are you? No, I'm stepping down. You changing your mind yet? No. Yeah, because that's what, I mean, for instance, Roger Moore did that with the James Bond films back in the early 80s. A lot of the times he would say, right, Moonraker's my last one, I'm not coming back. Contract negotiations, they pay him more because he was such a big breadwinner for the studio as James Bond. So they brought him back film after film until eventually they just kind of ran out of villains that he could knock down. And that's what he said. But quite funny. But yes, it's a similar predicament, I guess, with Hugh Jackman. I mean, he's getting old as well. Doesn't in any way mean he has to step down as Wolverine. I mean, each film he's done, he's just he's pumped. Just when you're thinking he's as big as he could possibly get or in as good shape, he'll do another Wolverine film, and he's huge in that. So I think there's a lot of characters, a lot of potential to that. But if he does step down as Wolverine, it's going to mean that they're either going to have to recast him, or I don't know, just stop making movies, or just find somebody else to carry the X-Men cinematic universe, which I think is what they're kind of trying to do by branching out. They're having a Deadpool movie, they're having a Gambit movie as well. See if those go. I mean, Channing Tatum is quite a big actor. He's not a great actor. He's got some talent, but I mean, he's very well liked. And I think in his Gambit film he's got a lot of potential to be successful. The Deadpool movie as well is very highly anticipated. Kind of amongst nerds, I guess, like me. But the general movie-going audience, it could be hit and miss. I think it'll be a hit, to be honest. It's low budget. I think it will very easily make its money back. Let's just put it that way. So we'll see. We'll see where the X-Men universe goes. But as I say, I don't think that the Marvel films are going to have the ability to have a Wolverine character, be it Hugh Jackman's or just another actor like they do with Quicksilver, just because he's such a breadwinner. 20th Century Fox and their X-Men properties are going to want to keep hold of that. They're not going to want a competition franchise to the Wolverine. It's a slippery slope from there as well, so we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't have thought, if you'd have gone back 6 months ago and said, do you think Spider-Man will pop up in any way, be it a rebooted one or the Andrew Garfield one, I would have said no way, there's no chance of that happening. Look what happened, Sony did a deal with Marvel. I mean, granted, Sony, the company as a whole, is kind of not doing right well financially from what I understand. Not the studio Sony, but the larger company that make hi-fis and all that kind of stuff. And there was all that business with the hacks as well, and they did some Spider-Man films that really weren't liked very well. I didn't mind them, but they weren't all that great. So you probably could have seen it coming with Spider-Man, maybe. I was one saying, no, we're not going to see Spider-Man in Marvel films. Look what happened. So I'm saying all this about Wolverine. My point is, I'm saying all this about Wolverine, saying it's not going to happen, Marvel's not going to use him. Who knows what's going to happen in the next few years? Especially, like I say, the Wolverine, Hugh Jackman Wolverine it's on borrowed time basically, now that he said that he's stepping down. And also the other X-Men characters as well. I mean, another point to this is the fact that the characters played by James McAvoy as Professor X, Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. Those were the ones that kind of soft reboot, not a full reboot, but it's like a soft reboot within the cinematic universe. In 2011 with the First Class film, X-Men First Class. The second film in that trilogy kind of thing was The Days of Future Past. The third film in that trilogy, bringing it to an end, is the X-Men Apocalypse. Now, from what I understand, the director that's doing the new ones, Days of Future Past, Bryan Singer, and also doing Apocalypse, has said it's a trilogy of films. Those films with those characters, those actors. Jennifer Lawrence has said this is her last appearance as Mystique. So I don't think that they're going to really get much further with those. They've kind of pushed them a bit too far out as well. They were established in the 60s at their age they're at. Fair enough, they kind of expanded it 10 years later into the 70s with the Days of Future Past, and they didn't look all that much older to say that it was all that time that had elapsed. Well, the next film's into the 80s now, so they are really pushing. I mean, what are they going to do? Another one in the 90s with James McAvoy looking like in his mid-30s, playing a character that should really be like 60 or whatever. I mean, all the continuities are whack with these films. All the timeline is very confusing, like knowing when these films are set and how old the characters are supposed to be. So I think they really are limited as far as they can go, unless these spin-offs are successful with Gambit, with Deadpool, and whatever else they're going to do. So that's kind of the future of the X-Men films, and we'll see how it goes, because at some stage 20th Century Fox may just have to either do what Sony did with the Amazing Spider-Man films. Those were the reboots. Maybe 20th Century Fox would have to do a full reboot of the X-Men universe. I don't see that being successful. I think if they did that, they would have to leave it a long time to do so that you will accept it. They can't just reboot it after a few years, because it didn't work when they did that with Spider-Man. But then again, if they don't reboot within a certain amount of time, the rights go back to Marvel. So they're kind of stuck. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hoping they can pull it off. I'm hoping they can pull off some really entertaining films out of this as well. Because the X-Men films have been pretty good. I even like the X-Men Origins Wolverine film to a certain extent. I didn't think it was dog shit like some people have said. It was one of the weakest ones. Maybe X-Men 3, The Last Stand, I think it's called, was maybe the weakest one. I don't know. But again, I found it entertaining. So... But I've rambled on him. Point being, anyway, that's kind of the future of the 20th Century Fox X-Men films. Whether they kind of go nowhere, we'll see at what point down the road, 10 years, 15 years down the road, they can put in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As far as I'm aware, Kevin Feige has projected the Marvel Cinematic Universe right into the late 2020s with what they're going to do. I mean, they've announced all the films up to 2019, but they've got an unofficial, unannounced roadmap of where they're going with these. There's a lot of variables, a lot of things, a lot of slips betwixt a cup and a lip. A lot of things that can go wrong between now and 2029 or whatever when you've got all these Marvel films. Because, I mean, as good as they've been so far, I just have a feeling that, like, in 10 years' time, we're going to look back at the Marvel Studios franchise. We're going to say, it started out so well, but then there was that one film in, like, whatever year, like, I don't know, it could be Doctor Strange. It was like, it was terrible. I mean, I don't think it's going to be terrible, but, you know, for example. And we're just going to see the downfall of this franchise. I hope it doesn't come to that. I really hope it doesn't, because these Marvel films, these are the Back to the Futures, the Star Wars films of the modern day, in my opinion. Well, we have a Star Wars film going out, but you know what I mean. These are the really good films that, you know, are just fun for everybody, that we really look forward to seeing the next one, kind of thing. And it's great that they're doing like 2-3 a year as well, and the other studios doing their own. And the better they are, the better the others have to be in order to compete with them. It's really a golden age, anyway, of movies. It's a great time to be a geek, let's put it that way. So I'm going to shut up now. I've really rambled. I think I've massively gone off topic off your question anyway, so I'm going to definitely just leave it there. So I hope that you got something out of my answer there anyway, because the whole issue of what's canon, what isn't, what crosses over, what can't cross over, what should cross over but can't, it's a very big subject, and like, where do you begin? I was going to do a kind of talk about how come they done, what's the history of why 20th Century Fox, you know, but you can find that out elsewhere. I've done videos on it previously anyway, so just go to brandxreviews.com. There's plenty of other stuff up there. If you want to contribute to the mailbag section, just post a question anywhere. We've got Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. There's a website, brandxreviews.com. So if you want to check any of that out, I'd say go to brandxreviews.com. There's kind of a social media thing on there as well. So if you want to post something, there's plenty of ways you can get in touch with us and follow us as well. So it's kind of a video coming at the end of this anyway, just kind of tell you where to go to find those. So for now, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks a lot, Paul Cage, for the submission. Keep them coming, man, because it really does kind of get me talking and get me thinking of stuff to say. So I hope it's been entertaining. I hope you got something out of it. So I guess I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much for watching. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Just so you know, for more news, reviews and retrospectives, you can like our page on Facebook, simply called Brand X Reviews. But as well as that, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube via this video. You can also bookmark our website, which is brandxreviews.com, which is pretty much a central hub for everything that I've just mentioned. So check that out, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.